Good morning. Good to see everybody today. Getting an opportunity to look back at last weekend's game. Obviously, again, disappointed in the result, but really thankful for the leadership on this team. Thankful for our guys. They fought their butts off. We played one of our more physical games on both sides of the ball. Thought our guys gave great effort. Showed great pride, and we really gave ourselves a chance going on the road against a really good team, number 2 offensive team in college football, and number 1 in many categories as well on defense. And again, this is we played a really poor third quarter, but played an excellent first half. Really outplayed them there, and then even in the fourth quarter, we still continued to fight, give ourselves a chance, move the ball. Neither offense really had much success in the fourth quarter, but we got 7 first downs. They got 0. I think we had 70 plus yards of offense, and they had 17 yards of offense. And in a game where it's a 12-point game, a lot of things can happen, and our guys continued to fight. We showed some improvement in some areas, and so I want to recognize that, through the course of the year. That's the hope, that the improvement happens sooner rather than later, and some of that has been more incremental than you want, but it's certainly been there. And unlike our previous 2 games, where we turnovers were a huge factor in those games. For the most part, we put one on the ground on a really good play by them. On a mesh play, on a run play. The turnovers, we did a really pretty good job going on the road and taking care of the football as well. So those are things that you look at. Again, turnovers, we did lose it. We lost it by 1, the margin, but we did run the ball much more effectively and efficiently than they did, and thought the lines of scrimmage from a run game standpoint, short yardage standpoint, all of those things, our guys really held up well on both sides of the ball. And again, our third downs, fourth downs, where we hadn't been very good on offense. Again, we're just under 50% on the day, which is a solid day against, again, one of the best defenses in college football. The first half, we were at 70% conversion rate, and really, again, just really playing really, really well. Where we fell short and lost control of the game, I thought 2 drives where we had positive plays, our first 2 drives on offense were negated by penalties, where, again, we played much more clean in the first half and made some critical mistakes in the third quarter on those first 2 drives. And we're not good enough right now to overcome many self-imposed, mistakes, if you will. And on defense, bad eyes, 2 busted coverages, and a couple explosive plays, and they scored on their 2 opening drives of the third quarter, and we got dominated in the third quarter. And those are the 4 drives, 2 on offense and 2 on defense, where they scored 13 points, and then didn't score again in the third quarter, and then they scored 3 points in the fourth quarter on a short field. Thought their punter did a nice job of putting them in some good positions. We let a couple balls hit the ground, and then we had a return where the play where they said they targeted us, and they reviewed it, and we also had a hold. One of our best players on special teams had a little tug, and making a tough competitive play. And next thing you know, we're taking the ball at the 10-yard line, as an offense. And again, like I said, and then the next punt, where the ball goes out at the 2. They're a rugby punter, and we're in the middle of the field, and we need to be slightly left middle so we can field that punt. And we let that one. Really excellent job by them, but not a good job by us. And now we're taking the ball off the 2-yard line, and we move the ball from there, but too little, too late. And those are all things that matter when you're playing good people, and you're in the hunt, and you have a chance to win. Those are things that really matter. But I would be remiss if I didn't, just recognize, our leadership, the continued investment, the fight that our guys, for a lot of people that may not be good, but that's okay. My concern is, the mindset of our players, the belief, their investment, how hard they're working, how hard they're competing. Are we giving ourselves a chance with effort and toughness and physicality? And we certainly we did that.
Okay, let's start with questions in the middle. Eric Bailey.
Brent, do you still meet with Joe on a weekly basis? And how much do you appreciate his counsel when you have to make tough decisions, kind of like what you did last week with Zach?
Yeah, I do. And I hadn't talked to Joe prior to me calling him on Sunday, I don't know what, a week ago Sunday, and I told him what I was going to do. So I hadn't talked to him about whether or not what he thought about it. When I called him, I had made the decision, and it was great. But yeah, we meet weekly, and a lot of times I talk to him a number of times during the course of the week, just normal protocol. But yeah, he's the best in the business. He's been around a lot, both good and bad, and difficult situations that being in this profession, a coaching profession and collegiate athletics, he's got a lot of wisdom that he can guide all of us coaches here, at the university.
Do you still feel like you have a vote of confidence from Joe during this program's tough time? And if so, what are some of those encouraging words he tells you right now?
Well, I'm not going to give intimate conversations, but yeah, absolutely. He's got good perspective. He knows things where there's a great alignment from a perspective standpoint, what we're dealing with. And so that's the extent of, conversations. He's kind of living and dying in the moment of the season like a coach would, but being a great vessel of support. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, I wanted to ask you about the offensive line, specifically development. How do you feel like that's gone this year? Are you happy with the progress when you look at some of the young guys? Like Saturday, we saw a lot of Logan Howland and Heath Ozida.
Yeah.
How do you measure that with that group?
Yeah, well, again, you got to have perspective. One of those is, we've gone back to back to back years where you lost players that could have chosen to come back. And so when you're losing guys early, it puts a little more pressure on the position. And I've been fortunate enough to be on a lot of teams where several years you lost guys that were draft eligible early to the draft. Not an easy thing to continue to replicate the same, consistent level of performance. Sounds good, but it's hard. And so again, as I talked about at some point in time here in the last week or so, we lost, I think, 3 guys in 21, 3 starters that could have come back. Going into the 22 year, then we lost, I believe it was Anton and Wanye early, and then we lost Tyler and Andrew Rame, and then we lost Caden Green. Those are all guys that technically could be back again. And so then when you're doing that, you again playing young guys out of high school, it's more difficult at that position than any other position for lots of reasons. And as a result, we had to take some portal guys, and so what comes with that, they're new too. So that's how you're in the position where you may be having to play some guys prior to them, being quote unquote, ready, if you will. So what are the things that they're not going to naturally be as good at as a young player? And you're talking about, a couple of freshmen in there that are getting baptized, and you're not going to be confident, and you're not going to be strong naturally. As strong as, again, a 4th or a 5th year player. Some of the guys that they're having to go against. So But when you're not confident, you're not physical. When you're not confident, you're not getting off on the snap. And we did that several times. We just don't get off on the snap. One guy says the rest of the line gets off, on the clap, and we don't. And I'm just not pointing the finger and blame. He's just not thinking about what we can't be thinking about. Just like a defensive player looking at the wrong thing. You don't look at the right stuff, you're going to get punished. Period. If you're not thinking about the right things, you certainly start with a snap count and you can get overwhelmed, and it happened in the game, or hey, where's my help coming from here? Center sliding away. I'm in a man protection scheme. I can't go the wrong way and turn the 3 technique loose. And when you play, again, nobody wants to hear. I'm going to say it anyway because it's what the facts are. But when you're playing freshmen play like freshmen sometimes, and they don't have experience and wisdom they can lean on. And so that happened a few times. But at the end of the day, I really felt like, and this is whether it's while Jacob was still healthy and whatnot, through really, three quarters, we gave ourselves a chance on the offensive line. We had winning performance, and had 3 sacks, prior to the last 6 or 7 minutes of the game, and one of them shouldn't have been a sack. It's a mesh. It's a run play, and they counted the fumble as a sack. And then later in the game, on the double pass, we get a sack by Bauer Sharp. He pulls it down because the guy's covered. And I think we had 6 sacks in the last 11 snaps of the game. So like I said, none of it's any good. We got to be better. We got to know the snap count, get off on the snap count. But overall, again, development piece. Again, we're in the infant stages of that. Heath Ozide has done some really good things, and he's got a tremendous ceiling in front of him. And we really believe Logan Howland can play this game a long time. But he's not there yet, and like you would expect, he's and right now he's not an overly confident guy, and at times Heath's not, and so that comes from going through it, and it's not a great solution, quote unquote, but that's where we're at, and again, Bill Bedenbow is one of the best in the business, and he's done a great job. He has a career of doing more with less and developing guys, taking undervalued guys and getting them in a position to play well. And but that being said, again, if you look at a stat sheet right now, we're really bad when it comes to lots of spaces, and sacks is one of them. And so you got to have perspective on all of it. At the end of the day, none of it's any good, and we'll work relentlessly on trying to improve and get better, and in all the ways that you can during the course of a week. We're going to move Isaiah Autry over there, and don't know whether or not Jake Taylor's going to be available. Jacob Sexton will be out for a little while, and not having Garen Hatchett inside is reason why, again, Heath was put in that position. And again, like I said, he's done some really good things for a freshman guard that's having to play in there a little sooner than you would ideally like. But he's done some good things, and he's a tough kid, and so's Logan. And, tough guys that they want to do well, and they've got great futures. We need to help them continue to play well. We did some chip protection, and when we did that, we didn't give up any sacks. Once the fourth quarter happened and we're running out of possessions, now you got to find ways to move the ball, and they're sitting in soft, umbrella coverages, and you get 3 guys out against, 7 guys in coverage. It's going to make it for tough sledding, and none of that was any good. Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Barry.
Yeah, Brent, Jackson seemed to hold up pretty good in difficult circumstances Saturday. Is the rest of the season in part sort of a discovery for the future in terms of, does he want to come back? Do you want him back? How do you figure out the money? Those kinds of things?
Yeah, I thought Jackson had his best performance of the year. I thought he did a great job going on the road and playing against a top-ranked defense. And again, he completed over 70% of his passes, made a lot of great decisions, ran the ball well. threw it on time, did it fantastic. I had a great game, and having fun and getting comfortable and not playing with a bear on his back. He's just was played free, and thought Kevin Johns did a fantastic job of getting him ready and giving a new, fresh perspective from that standpoint. And my assumption is that you're dang right he wants to be back. Why would he not? That's how I look at it. I don't have my head in the sand. I would be concerned if I was thinking in that way. Oh, I wonder if he wants to be back. Well, shit, you'd start quarterback at Oklahoma. That's your dream, You turn down a lot of good people to come here, and now you face some headwinds, and now you're just going to quit. I don't see that in him, and I don't see that in guys in our locker room. Does it happen in college football or in life? You're damn right, and but not with people that are built with the right stuff. Not at all. And Jackson got the right stuff. And yeah, I mean, we got good NIL, if that's what you're referencing, and but there's a thing now called rev share that it's past its initial steps, and we'll be in a great position from that standpoint, But at the end of the day, for me, I want guys that want to be here because they want to put on the crimson and cream. They love their coaches. They love the locker room. They love being in Oklahoma Sooner. That's where it all starts with me. And I believe the guys in our locker room, that they love, meeting that criteria. I believe that firmly. And but nobody in college football is going to be immune from losing some guys. That's all going to be part of it. And again, if the storms are a reason why guys want to leave, then I'm all for it. I'll help them pack their bags. I believe in that too. And but our guys are strong-minded. They believe in what they're doing. They believe in each other and believe in their opportunity. Thankful for their opportunity. I see that by how hard they work, how hard they fight, how hard they compete.
Yeah, Brent, I heard you say last night on your show that your message hasn't changed. I'm wondering, it's human nature when you fail to let seeds of doubt into your head, question maybe what you're doing. How hard has it been to maybe keep those things out, or maybe easy for you? And what signs have you seen, and you kind of mentioned some of them, that the direction of this program is heading in the right direction?
Yeah, well, again, what do we measure the progress from a year ago? If that's what we're measuring it, we're much better on defense, and certainly made a great improvement in our kicking game. Just look at all the efficiencies. Where a year ago we were one of the worst in college football efficiency in special teams, and now we're in the top. I don't know what exact. I'm not a stat chaser, but I do know we're a top 20 special teams unit now. And some of that was youth, and some of that was figuring out guys on our own roster, making kicks, being more consistent. And once Luke Elzinga took over a year ago, punting the ball, and then we've got a bunch of good young players that are in year 2 and year 3 on those special teams unit. They're playing fast and physical and violent, and they understand the value of special teams and the efficiency and the details of it as well, and that shows. And again, we were, a really good offense, not perfect our first 2 years. We made a tremendous jump in all the efficiency spaces. Dylan went from a 60% conversion or a completion percentage quarterback to, 70%. We went for really below average 3rd and 4th down offense in 2022, to one of the best in college football. And scoring points and red zone offense and all of those things. And for lots of obvious reasons, which you all have probably been reporting on for the last several weeks, there's been a drop-off in our offensive production, a dramatic drop-off this season. And but I believe in the young talent that we have recruited, and the guys that are coming in the future, and our ability to go help in recruiting and making our roster better. In today's landscape, we have recruited really well, going on our 4th class. And then again, I love the guys on our defensive staff and the things that Zach and combined with the other guys on our defensive staff have done. They've done a tremendous job, have kept us in every game, given us a chance. And again, I know at the end of the day, the losing 3 straight really sucks. It stinks. There's no way to try to defend it, but we always got to have the perspective and what was good, what was bad, and what do we need to get better at, what was the opponent and what was Oklahoma. And, defensively, we've given ourselves a chance to win, each and every week, and we've also played a part in, some degree. Maybe it was South Carolina. We didn't force a turnover. It's 2 straight weeks. We don't force a turnover. We need to force turnovers. That's a formula for success and how you win. You force turnovers. You complement, each other, and you give the offense a short field. And Tennessee, we didn't capitalize. We gave the ball right back. A game where we could have had a chance to win that game, and we didn't because we didn't capitalize. When we had those opportunities. But we need to get back to that. As well. A week ago we had 6 sacks. Against Ole Miss we only had 1, and that's disappointing. And we needed in a game that was within arm's reach all the way to to the end of the game. We needed to create some negative plays and like turnovers, maybe go score on defense. We were able to do it on the road at Auburn. We didn't do it, on the road at Ole Miss. And but I don't sit here and think about all those things that you said, but I know I see what I see every single day, and our guys believe in what we do, and there's a formula for success and winning that I've had a long time and have matured through the years, and believe in work and believe in improvement and development. It's a developmental game, and then I believe in finding ways to put your guys in position to be successful, and I wanted to give again a body of work that would show whether or not we is that youth, is that injuries, or do we need to do a better job of helping them? And had to make a tough decision 2 weeks ago to help us get better. And I believe it did. And but time will tell.
Chapman.
Brent, to ask about a couple of your young interior defensive linemen, what have you seen from Jaden as he's continued to progress, going up against the SEC offensive lines, and then David, we've seen kind of the cast. How's that, on a ranch or not, as far as his development kind of continuing to press on behind the scenes a little bit?
Yeah. Jaden's a great example of a young freshman that came in with he brought in fundamentals, physical toughness, mental toughness, and the ability to play fast as a result. Great work ethic, really smart guy. Football was easy for him, and so all those things transitioned to his ability to become a starter. Was a game captain, a week ago, has held up incredibly well, has played really well, has been a model of consistency, which is probably the best quality that I believe you can have, is just being a consistent week in and week out performer. It's really hard. Everybody in college football is going to show up and practice with energy and enthusiasm and passion the first few weeks, but where are you week 8? Week 9, week 10, where are you after you've lost, some really tough games? Where are you then? And he's been the model of consistency. He hadn't flinched, and really just proud of those things. And he's got a tremendous future. And he cares deeply for his teammates. He shows up every day wanting to be a great teammate. And then David Stone, the cast is, it's an inhibitor, if you will, but he's fought through it. He's still at practice. He goes and takes, live practice reps and things of that nature. He's a tough guy. He wants to improve. David Stone's best quality, he has this fantastic work ethic, but he has this amazing self-awareness. And so as a result, he doesn't get in his own way in the improvement process. He sees it for what it is. He'll have good things that he's feeling himself after a good day at practice. He whooped somebody, but he says, man, that was a really good inside session, but when we got the team, good on good on the third down period, I didn't do as well. I had a bust, man. I got to be better. And he's up in the coach's offices every night, just trying to get a little more knowledge, and just he's a gym rat and doesn't shy away from tough moments, and I love that about him. He's going to be a fantastic player because of those two traits there, the work ethic and great self-awareness and the hunger to improve every single day.
Left side, James.
Brent, I realize pass defense is more than just one, a corner's got to have safety help or whatever, but how well is your corner back game playing?
We're way too inconsistent. And some that's really good, and it was you're only as good as your last snap. And so good in the first half. The corner play was good in the first half. Linebacker play, our underneath coverage and recognizing play actions and letting some routes get in behind us, not so much. Needs to be better. And then in the second half, when we get to again 3rd and 12, we get some bad eyes. Initially, the coverage is great, and then we do the unthinkable and man-to-man coverage. We take our eyes off our man, we lose him. The quarterback makes a really competitive play with 2 defenders bringing him down, and the receiver made a great play, too. So good competitive play, but bad on our part with the discipline and taking his eyes off his man, and next thing you know, they score 2 plays later on the double move, and so it all looks bad. You give up an explosive play on the scramble, you give up an explosive play on the double move, and another time we've got a good coverage called, and corner on one side plays really well, the corner on the back side bust his coverage, and they throw it for 28 yards over our head, and we got to get our guys not to bust coverages. And then the experienced player needs to know the call and be in the right call. And that's football. Sometimes you don't get exposed. Sometimes you bust a coverage and they don't take advantage. And good people are going to find you, and they did. And but at the end of the day, we gotta be better. Eli Bowen was really good all day. And we were inconsistent, at other spots, and Jacoby played some, and I really believe in him, and but he had a tightened hamstring, and so he couldn't play in the latter part of the game. But Dez has been banged up and been out of practice the last few weeks, just been available for the games, and he's got issue he's dealing with, and so some of that rust shows. And then Kenai's playing a lot of snaps, and but he's played his butt off. Sometimes he's been not so good and got exposed, some other times he's been fantastic. So a little inconsistent there as well. And then McCarry's been banged up, and unavailable early in camp and missed all the camp, and came back and then got hurt again. So we got to stay healthy there. Gentry Williams being out for the year too there. So we've been snake bit at that position, but we got to be better. And again, and certainly in the plays that we got to be better with our eyes or better with our fundamentals. And you can go back and say, well, that's coaching. No kidding. It is. It's all, at the end of the day, it's inconsistent. And so it starts with us. And but it's been some times that have been outstanding, and some other times explosive plays. We're better, much better at giving up explosive plays this year. Don't know what the number is, but I just watch us as a unit. We're more consistent. But we can be better, and we need to be in order to play better in that third quarter. On those first 2 drives, we need to be better there, and certainly on defense, on things that we control us. I'm not talking about competitive plays. I'm talking about things that we got to be better at.
Yeah, Brent, it seems like guys like Michael Boganowski, Jaden Hardy, and Reggie Powers have done really nice job on special teams. Mm-hmm. Their ability to stay locked in as you guys go through the struggles, and how might a week like this one that's coming up maybe get them a chance to get them on the field more?
It's the whole season. What you don't see is they're getting a ton of reps in practice, and they've played in several games, and they've gone in and have done really well at times, and then some other times he looked like freshmen. Man, I'm really excited about those guys. I mean, I think they are going to be phenomenal. And no coach speak, that's just what I've seen. And they've got great mindsets. They're tough guys, mentally. They're tough guys physically. they all they're contact guys. You know, Boganowski, Powers, Hardy, they're fearless. You know, Hardy wants to, you know, he'll go play anything, and even though he trains at one position, he's, you know, every game he's like, you know, always tapping you on, man, I can go and do this, I can go and do that, and that's what he did in high school. And I wouldn't doubt it, I wouldn't put it past him. But we're trying to get him good at one thing, and so. But those are guys, they have range, they're physical, they got great natural instincts. All three of those guys. I mean, we crushed it with those guys. I'm incredibly proud of those guys. And again, being, you know, a freshman coming in and learning the depth of what they need to learn week in and week out. And there's a game plan thing that you have to, some things you carry with you, and sometimes it's, hey, game plan specific, and they've done a really nice job. You always find windows to try to get them in the game, and sometimes it works for you. You can get them in, get them out. But the depth of what they're taking legit number 2 reps all season long, there's going to be a cumulative effect of that. And it's going to pay off, and it is paying off on their development. But really, and they're great leaders too for young guys. They're just mature beyond their years, and again, they're going to get in and they're going to do some really good stuff, and they're going to do some stuff that that they'll learn from. And like I said, you learn the most, you know, through some failure and you know, not having great results. But what I love about it, they have a mental toughness too, to come right in the film room on Monday and take the corrections the right way and improve and get better.
Jesse?
Brent, you mentioned.
And yeah, this week is another week. It's and that's why I said what I said. Just one more week for them. And I don't take anything for granted. Every single week, you know, you guys are one play from having to be the starter and playing 70 snaps. So show up every day on Monday, Tuesday. Every day of the week is important. Every day. We don't have time to waste. And don't get bored with the routine. And that's an easy thing to do. Week 6, week 7, week 8. There's a structure and a routine that keeps you focused on the right things and not get distracted. But at the same time, it's easy. I think it's easier not to do the little things than it is to do the little things really well every single day. And that's why I say the message isn't going to change, because I can't change what it takes, and it does take that. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's getting great at the basics. And so for young guys and old guys, it's easy to allow the routine of the season, the structure of a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practice to bore you, and then next thing you've missed these amazing moments to grow and develop and not have a game rep mentality. You know, practice habits equal game reality. In every single game, you know, guys are going to make mistakes. Every game. I've never been in a game where they haven't. And right now, our margin for error is really thin. And so mistakes that we make are, you know, expounded tenfold. But these guys have, this week is every bit as important, but last week was the same message. And you're hopeful that, you know, they'll get an opportunity early in the game to go in there and continue to gain, you know, really valuable experience and also help us win.
Brent, you mentioned on your coach's show last night about Isaiah Autry, maybe getting him elevated. Just I just wanted to ask you maybe about what you've seen from his development this season, and when you've got a young offensive lineman like that maybe hasn't played yet, what are maybe the challenges or expectations in terms of just getting him maybe ready for a bigger role?
Yeah, so his physical development since he's been here just been, you know, tremendous. I mean, he's put on, you know, 40 plus pounds, and strength addition that's come with that too. He's had a great fall. He's going against really good people. And again, what you see on game day shouldn't necessarily overwhelm you. It's not going to be dramatically different. You know, they're going against an elite group of players on defense that know how to practice. They're going to show up and they're going to bloody your nose every day in practice if you're not ready to fight back. And so we've really developed a great environment for those young offensive linemen to train in every single day. And several times this year, he's been the Scout Offensive Lineman of the Week. And last week he was as well. He's really improved. Is he game ready? You know, we're about to find out. You know, and sometimes there's an easy transition, and other times it's all right. You got to get out there now. You got to, you know, take. We give them a card every day. I give them a dot to dot. You know, what we do, on the card, it'll say, we use the language that the offense uses. If they call that play this, I want them to learn. I don't want them to learn what we call it on defense. Call it the inside zone, call it the counter, call it the sprint out, call it the dash, call it the switch verticals, whatever that is. That's how we talked on defense, but I want the scouts to learn what the offense calls it, and I want it dot to dot, user-friendly, nice and colored, every single card. I want you to use that verbiage, and we as a staff coach the offensive scouts, full-time coaches, but we have some assistants that, GAs and analysts and all these guys that also, take pride in, they're the coach of the different positions, but I want our guys to be confident so when they do go down and they take some reps at inside or they take some reps in team pass or they got to get called up, quote unquote, to the varsity, that at least they don't have to overcome that. There's a natural progression for them, and so that piece shouldn't be as overwhelming, but in 1 week you might see a defense when you're game prepping that is really complicated. And they do a lot with their front. They do a lot with their pressure package. They do a lot on early downs and stemming and all these late movement things that can be overwhelming for any offensive lineman. That's why we do it on defense, because it's hard on the offense. And if I've got a freshman first-time starter at center, that I know we're going to play this week, we're going to try to make his life a living hell with what he sees. And that's what people are going to do, So that being said, he's really matured mentally, learned how to be a great practice player, how to strain and fight, be physical, gain confidence through going against good people every single day, and where we've recognized the performance, any opportunity, and I'm not going to, throw out compliments to guys if it's not warranted, and I want it to be a big deal to our guys. And so he's been a guy that I've been able to recognize his performance and his development among several other young players over the course of the season. They're getting after it. They're making improvement. They care. They're trying to make us better every day, and in turn they get better as a byproduct of that. And he's done that. And obviously losing Sexton and losing Jake Taylor has promoted his opportunity, and where that all lands, we'll find out. My hope is that, hey man, we find ways. Let's find out what he can do. Let's all within the realm of trying to be in a good rhythm and trying to win first and foremost, whatever that looks like. But he's a top 4 guy right now. We can't just crap another tackle in the middle of the season. We don't get to go, into the whatever that's called in the NFL, where they get to go take a guy off the quote-unquote practice squad or the, that's in the free agent market or what have you, that you can pull off another team. So, but I really like the progresses he's made. I traveled him last week to reward him. He's going to Mississippi, back where he's from, and but I also just want to recognize, man, you need to, we might need another, a backup receiver potentially if disaster happened. But you know what? That guy's not even taking practice reps. Man, you're just killing it. And I'm gonna, so we took him on last week's trip because of the improvement and because of the work and because of the the fight that he's shown every single day. He's really made the most of his opportunities, and he's a much more confident player now than he was, when we started, the season. And that doesn't happen for everybody. I don't take that for granted. You would assume, but just because guys are coming to practice every day doesn't mean they have that game rep mentality. And my job is to find spots where we're not practicing with the right kind of passion and energy and the intensity, and then get guys better. And I find I go to the scout teams, I go to the varsity guys. I'm down on the offensive field, I'm down on the defensive field, I'm involved in the special teams and trying to demand everybody's best. That's the Gold Squad, which is the scout team on all of our special teams units. Everybody's effort and attitude, their ability to execute on the practice field is it's the difference between winning and losing. That's my mindset, and that's every coach that works for me, that's their mindset. And my job is to always, you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. And I'm, always, again, very intentionally and relentlessly trying to do that every single day that I show up. And that's bottom line expectation of me. And that's how you get guys better. And Isaiah is a byproduct of all of that. Mm-hmm.
Brent, when you take out the sacks, I think you guys had over 200 rushing yards against Ole Miss. When you consider just how good Ole Miss has been against the run, what can a game like that do for the confidence of this offense moving forward, and how can you kind of build off that going into this final month?
It's only affirmation on what I said. If we get out of our own way, if we don't beat Oklahoma, if we do the things that winning requires, even though we have XYZ down with injuries, if we do that, and it's hard, it's always going to be hard. This year it's even more difficult because of the challenge of the people that we're playing. But if we do that, we can play with anybody. We can beat anybody that we play against. And again, that may not be popular for people to hear, and everybody wants to find negative and all of it. That's cool too. But I know what I know, and I'm not wrong. And that's affirmation of that. And we got to get better. And if we make a few more, if we can make some explosive plays in the passing game, that's going to open up even more opportunities in the run game. And if we stay on schedule, if we don't, have pre-snap penalties, if we give them good field position, if we don't, have the unthinkable, penalties that just, it's always hard to overcome. You get to 3rd and 20, it's really hard. Against anybody on air at practice. So, but yeah, it's affirmation that we're getting a little better. You can't, you suck and you can't coach and you're not getting better, and then you do that. Unless I guess maybe it just happened by accident on its own. Everybody fainted and we just ran, unabated. And so we all know better than that. And so you got to recognize, okay, we ask these guys to keep showing up and keep fighting and continue to work every single day, just improve a little bit. Everybody, I got to get better. You got to have self-awareness to get better. The coach can't think you got to get better, and then you think you're doing just fine, and then you're going to get better. It's not going to happen. And so you all have to have a level of humility and respect for what it takes to improve and get better. And then you have to have the accountability. You got to take the action and the accountability that goes along with it. And coach plays a big part of that, and the player does as well. And so again, as I said, man, I'm proud of our guys for the fight and the physical toughness that they showed. And our tight ends block better. We chip better. That was more noticeable. We put helmets under chin straps, and we knocked people backwards, and the pile went in the right direction. Not always, but better. And so, but not good enough to win. And so there's more to be had.
In that run game, you talked over the past couple games about the consistent effort you're getting from Javonte, but in addition to that, how cool has it been to kind of see him find his voice in the locker room and become more of a vocal leader for this team? Yeah, and we've really, DeMarco's done a really nice job. Javonte's taken ownership in that. He's naturally a really quiet guy, and we've worked really hard intentionally of promoting his improvement, promoting his competitive toughness that he has shown over the last several months, and then put him awkwardly several months ago in position where, hey man, what do you got to say? And you do that over time. It has compound interest, and where he gets more and more comfortable in doing that, put him in front of the team, and he's taken a liking to it. And part of when you start to have success as a player, then you feel like, okay, I should have something to say now. I have a right to have something to say. If you're a guy that's been banged up, or maybe you're not performing at a winning level like you're capable of, you feel as a quote unquote leader, maybe you're supposed to be a leader, you don't feel as comfortable. And so some of that, again, improvement in the things that I said have lended, you see this real development as a voice in the locker room. For our guys on offense, where you have a lot more new guys. Again, I don't know how many guys started games for us last year in that group, but there were not many. And so it's hard to have all these, great voices that are leaders. The coach can't be the only one, but he has to be the one, but he can't be the only one.
and not if you're going to be, what we want them to be. It's usually because you've got not only great buy-in, which we do have that, and so that's a leadership skill too, is great buy-in and showing up every day. But a voice other than the coach is always, appropriate and helps the growth of everybody. But he's been fantastic. Really proud of the young man that he's becoming, really getting comfortable in his own skin on the field and off the field. Mm-hmm.
Coach, it's 12:17. Do you have time for a couple more?
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah.
Dean,
Coach, wondering about Kevin Johns. What did you see in him that led you to promote him? And then what have you seen since then? Both he and
I was
John?
excited about. I've known Kevin Johns for a long time as far as his career, because he's worked with people that I know, and certainly watched him at Duke and being in the ACC for a decade and watching the transition and the coaching there on that staff. And then watching them after we got to Oklahoma, watching them beat Clemson a year ago and have a really good year with that quarterback. Again, knowing that they did more with less there as well. And Kevin Wilson always bragged on him as being a really good football coach. Really value Kevin's opinion. And then Seth had a relationship with him. And when all this went down a year ago in January, and we're finishing out the staff, Kevin was somebody. There's a short list of guys that we talked about as being able to bring on that could help us in lots of ways, offensively, but also in other ways maybe they had experienced as a veteran coach. And losing Matt Wells going to Kansas State, kind of somebody maybe that could be in that role. And but he's been really, and I know I walked everybody through, how we got to where we got to. But when I asked him, brought him into my office again a week ago Sunday, hey, would you be willing to do this? And this is what my expectations are. This is what I would have you do, and this is how it would all work. And he, again, courageously said yes. Again, I don't ever take anything for granted, I don't want somebody to tippy-toe and have one foot in it, You ain't going to be worth a flip. I want somebody that's fully submerged all the way, fearless and excited. And so how you respond is going to determine on, I gave him the what do you think, and then you need to respond the right way. And he did. He didn't flinch. And I was excited about that. And not surprised, but like I said, I don't take that for granted. And then first time I, watched him interact, at practice, I could say, okay, good. That's, I just, every play I want to coach. I coach every play. Like it's the biggest play in the world, and I'm gonna. If you might have a plus on the grade sheet, but I'm gonna find, but it could have been better. And I like. And everybody's different. Not every coach is the same, and you can still be an incredibly effective, successful coach, not coaching that way. But that's how I was raised in the profession, and so I like it when I see it, and I saw that immediately. I like answers. I like details. I like not taking anything for granted at practice. And every opportunity is an opportunity to teach, grow, and learn and get better. And so I saw that piece and it might have been running from one hash to the other and coaching on the run. And I like that. And I'm listening and I'm watching, and I'm always doing that. And again, I'm not the kicking coach. So I don't try to be the expert kicker, He misses it to the right. I'm like, hey, man, we got to kick that thing down the middle, okay, Again, tongue in cheek, but I try not to major in the minors, and the minors are important, for somebody. And but as a young coach, I was given great autonomy, and all at the same time with a little bit of guidance and encouragement and correction. But that's why I pay you, Brent Venables. That's what Bill Snyder, would say. And one of the first and only times as a young coach, I said, he says, "What are we thinking, guys? In our, maybe it might have been in the debut of Texas Tech in the first Big 12 game in the history of the Big 12, K-State versus Texas Tech and Spike Dykes, and we get to a third down timeout, and we come over on the sideline. Mike's up in the booth, and we're like, we could do the, play zone. We could go man, and I'm like, Coach, I'm like, do I say it? I'm scared. I'm intimidated. Coach, what do you think? He goes, Brent Venables, that's why I pay you. And we made some kind of, I don't know if it was right on that. We won the game, but I really like ambitious, driven, prepared coaches, and I believe the best coaches, have foresight. And I've tried to challenge, I always try to challenge coaches. I've been in the defensive room as a coordinator. My job is to develop that staff and to clearly define standards and expectations and how we do what we do, and to put pressure on them constantly, and again, don't ever settle. And but all the while, affirm them too. They need that too. It's hard enough. And you can't just beat people down and tell them what they suck at and what we're miserable and how we failed today. You can do that, but it can't be only that. And so my challenge for everybody on the staff is you show up every day like you're the head coach of your position. You're the head coach of the team. The success or the failure of the whole program is riding on your shoulders, in your decisions, and what you do at Indy and how you handle third down period and all of those things. And if you're doing it right, it should be that way. And you don't want to let people down. And you don't want guys that are paralyzed either. You want people that are confident. And I took the coaches back a couple of months ago, early in the season. I'm like, man, game day ain't the time where we're trying to figure stuff out. There are times where you got to make some adjustments on the fly. That happens subtly and sometimes in a big way on a lot of game days. But I go. We went to Texas A&M on the road in 1996, and the very first third down play, Mike Stoops says, "Hey, what do you?" And man, he couldn't spit it out. I freaking cut him off. I'm like, "Cat Blitzcheck Silver, man." I was so ready, to tell him what we're gonna. I'm signaling in, you're gonna ask me? I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm confident and I'm ready. You need a little bit of help. Everybody needs a little help. I'm ready. Okay, I'm not going to flinch, and I don't care what the result is. I'm ready. I don't care what everyone thinks. I'm ready. I'm prepared. I've played this game, even as the lowly assistant, that you may never ask. My butt's ready, and everybody should show up to work like that. Everybody should be deeply invested in. Okay, I know he's kind of leading the red zone, package for this week, and he's kind of been here's what we need to probably do, and ultimately it's one guy's decision or it's all of us' decision, but everybody should be ready. What if the other two coaches stroke out and they can't make the plays? Well, your ass needs to be ready. And why that shouldn't, with any other mindset is not the right mindset. And not everybody just grabs onto that naturally, but when you're trying to put pressure on people to show up with the right attitude every day, you put the pressure on the players that way. To know the third down, you should know it like the coordinator knows it. A good coach is going to teach his players in such a way as, this is what I'm thinking, and you start doing that on Monday. Don't wait till Wednesday. Don't wait till Thursday. He kind of likes this. No, he's going to love this because that's what we get him good at during the course of the week. And sometimes that's not appropriate for everybody on the roster, but I think that's got to be the mindset, of the coach. And Kevin Johns, that's what I saw. When I said he was like a pig in the mud, it's because of all of those things, and not overcoaching. Sometimes again we've all been guilty of overcoaching. As a parent, sometimes you overparent. Trying to keep him out of harm's way. Well, the best thing you can do sometimes as a parent is, okay, he's Mr. Know-It-All. Let's let him fail. All right, he didn't. You've been telling him to take his practice gear for basketball practice over and over and over. You keep telling him he needs to do it on his own. He gonna leave him at the house. He ain't practicing today. Coach gonna, punish him, and he's not in the starting lineup. He needs that. And sometimes we can over-parent too, and sometimes you can over-coach. But I believe in not wasting a day, not wasting a practice rep. It don't matter what it is. And that's what I saw him do. And in a really natural, easy, organic way. And you would have expected it if he was the analyst every day, all season long, all spring and all summer, where he's working with him intimately, but he wasn't. And so that's what I thought. And I thought you saw, because of Kevin's ability to make it that easy from a transition that who the hell would think that would be easy? There's nothing easy about it. There ain't nothing easy about, if the staff was the same, getting ready week in and week out. There's nothing easy about that either. There certainly isn't when you have a coaching change, and then at that position, a guy that maybe the most important position on the whole team, that touches the ball and makes decisions and all those things. And so for me to, to undervalue what a fantastic job that he and the rest of the staff did, would not be appropriate. I'm not sitting here and we lost the damn game, So I've gone out of my way. You asked a question. I think it's appropriate to answer it, adequately. And, those are the things that, I can have a great appreciation for and the players benefit from.
There are still a couple more if you're still.
Yep, that's good.
Okay, John, Ruber.
Yeah, Brent, question on a couple of operational issues from Saturday. First drive, you guys' first offensive drive, they stopped the play twice. The center ref jumps in there, stops to let Ole Miss sub, even though you guys did not sub. Mm-hmm. And then in the fourth quarter, Ole Miss got their second sideline warning, which should be a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah, so what they did, and it looked like that was a second sub, but they're going to give, the SEC is going to give a little latitude. And I'd have to go back and watch, but the only reasonable explanation is the last play ended on a sideline. It don't matter if you put anybody in or not. That's the some leagues didn't abide by those, or maybe they were inconsistent with that ruling. The SEC, because they know what it is. You go out of bounds and you kind of slip a guy in, and if you don't see it, because there's chaos. What are the refs looking at? They're not looking at, did they send somebody in? But if your team ends on your sideline, you can swip them, the receivers. People were doing that a couple of years ago. So SEC's like, hey, if it ends on a sideline, whether somebody subbed or not, we're going to give the opportunity to sub. I like that. I think that's fair. That's a good rule. And so maybe the fourth down, maybe that was part of it. And there's a method to some of those substitution patterns. And for me, I'm just looking at practical. If we are allowed to sub, I'm the head coach now. We're allowed to sub. Then don't do a late sub. You do a late sub, and now you got to either call timeout or you got to take a delay because you late subbed. Around 22 seconds, you ain't got enough time to sub. Because watch what they do, how they sub. And so you're going to be teams that do a lot of subbing. Like on offense, it can be a real issue for you if you're trying to go fast, and if you're not trying to go fast, if you don't sub fast enough, and then all of a sudden you need a motion in there, or maybe you got a shift and then a motion. It's a real problem. And so, but I'd have to go back and look at that. And hey, I got enough problems. Does a penalty there help you? Maybe. In stopping people, maybe. But I got enough problems. Those are things that I'm not going to overrule. It's not like that's a reviewable thing. And I can, bitch, moan, and complain, turn things in. It doesn't create a solution for anything or anyone.
Avenue of communication in that situation.
Oh yeah.
Where you say they did this.
Hey, yeah, and then you just, I'll find out, and then they get back and, well, it wasn't really a warning. It was, it really, they gave him a little. It wasn't like the last time, and so whatever. It's good. I'm not.
Okay, put Brent back right.
So, Coach, you've been in the midst of all these high-pressure SEC games, and now
It's all high pressure. It's always that. I know what you're saying though, but I don't think it's a new thing because it's the SEC. The margin for error is small. We said going in, it's a one possession league, and every week seems like, oh man, these are the best players in the world you're playing. And I again say that in a humorous way, but it's all high pressure. Always has been.
Yeah, but now they're playing Maine in the midst of all of that,
Yeah.
a non-conference game, you know, championship subdivision. On one hand, obviously, you played a lot of tough games. On the other hand, you guys have struggled. What mental approach do you need to see from your guys, given the change in opponent?
Well, just what you do every week. It's you got to know the DNA of the new team, but it's a nameless, faceless. It's about you, your standards, how you practice, how you prepare, the sense of urgency, the fundamentals. Are you improving, getting better? Your mindset, your attitude, your workload, your intensity, your focus on detail. You can't cheat the game. And so it don't matter about the opponent. If we don't take care of us, if we don't do those things that I just said, if we're not coming in, if we've been I'm going to come in and do extra recovery this week. I got a routine of red light therapy. Oh, but not this week because this team, we're only favored by this, or we're not favored. We're down. So, this is Texas, so I'm going to practice this way. And listen, I know what the results have been. I've in a really tough way, have lived through all of it. I'm the leader of it, and I take all of it, and that's appropriate. But man, you don't play to a scoreboard or an opponent. You just don't. And every week is again a season of its own. It's always the biggest game of the year. It's a great opportunity to improve and get better for us. We're on a 3-game losing streak. Hey, let's get back on track. Let's start to create a little momentum, and then we feel a little bit better. Winning cures a lot. And having some success develops confidence. And you can still get confident being down on the scout team, like an Isaiah Autry, even though we're losing. But, man, winning is affirmation in some ways. And but winning, I don't never take it for granted. And nobody wants me to come in here and go through all the stuff. I could brag on Maine. Nobody. Well, they got 17 graduates, and what does that mean? They got a lot of experience, but nobody cares. And it's like I said, we're focused on Oklahoma, like we always have been. There are schemes that we got to get ready for, and we need to get them down quickly. And otherwise it'll get sloppy and it don't look good. That'll show up too. And if I said, hey fellas, we're playing this opponent this week, I'll see you on Thursday. I'm gonna give you the first 3 days of the week off, and we'll start up on Thursday. How do you think that's gonna look? No matter who you play, it's gonna look like crap. But I don't want our guys. Hey, well this week let's meet a little longer. Let's practice a little longer. No, there's a routine, there's a system, there's a method. Every year you might, hey man, we're a little bit banged up, we're getting thin. Well, we normally scrimmage all of our young players. Well, a lot of our young players are old players now. They're with it, so we haven't been scrimmaging weekly the last 6 weeks, and so there's that. So you handle it every year. But as you get to about midway point, you start incrementally starting to shorten periods and try to keep guys fresh, and so you're always doing that. And maybe a little more. We need development, but man, we got to get healthy. We don't have the depth that we did have before injuries. That's real. So what happens? Well, the backups are taking a hell of a lot more reps. So you don't have as many reps as you can get in 20 hours. If you do that, you're going to rip all the tread off the tires. And so we have sports science, and we can really do a really good job of, in a very infinite way, you can really break it all the way down to the core of what it looks like and compare it to a game. What it looks. We have several seasons of data. What these Monday practices, game 9, what that looks like compared to other years, or what it looked like compared to last week or the last several weeks, and then guys don't play as fresh or they're not as explosive, but we needed our reps. We need to get the reps in, and think about receivers or tight ends, and we've had guys banged up. It is what it is, but there's a cumulative effect to that too, and I got to gauge all of it, and trying to continue to develop this team. It's important that we do that. And if we make improvement, we get a few guys back, and we can, maybe build on some of the success that we had on, not enough, but some of the success, we'll have a chance to put a winning streak together, to finish the year. and going to be tough. It's going to be a great challenge, but it's doable. That's our focus and our mindset. But it's on what's in front of us right now. And we go have a great Tuesday practice. But we were 7% less this Monday as a football team in our output than we were a week ago Monday, and that's total mileage and all of those things. And again, that's going into week 9. Hey, man, let's slightly pull back and try to get some guys healthy. What happens a lot of times when you play a lot of youth, their bodies aren't built up from a physical stamina standpoint. They just don't, they have less tread on their tires, believe it or not. And as the season goes on, then mentally, physically, all of that starts to diminish to a certain degree. Jaden Jackson is an alpha, and he's certainly not immune from that, but less for him. Some other guys, it's just like, we got to do it again, and that's what's really hard. And the good teams, man, they can do it week in and week out, and they just start dropping. You see those, man, they got upset, another one less team that everybody's talking about, and because it's really hard to do it week in and week out. My job is to develop that routine, that mindset that we do things a certain way, and over the long haul, that will serve us well. And even in the middle of a 3-game losing streak, not that you're not always evaluating everything, you certainly are, but we're going to continue to have the same type of structure, make the appropriate adjustments like you would any time going into your 9th week, and I don't care who it is. And if we're playing the Dallas Cowboys and everybody else is playing, this other team, maybe I'm saying, hey, tell me why that makes sense, from a strategy standpoint, but. I'm not complaining. I'm not promoting. I just show up and play and coach.